Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Akmal bin Sazali. You can call me Akmal. Firstly, we want to give our gratitude to our beloved lecturer Dr. Nora Faradila binti Abdul Aziz for guiding and teaching us on the subject of corporate finance and give us opportunity to present group project to adapt what we learn in class. Before we start the presentation, let me introduce our team member first. My name is Muhammad Akmal bin Sazali. You can call me Akmal. Next, Muhammad Fairuz bin Rosli. Third, Putri Zulaika binti Muhammad Effendi. And lastly, Khairunisa Itqan binti Khairul Anwar. Okay, let's proceed with the presentation. Our group will present about financial performance, Boston Holding Berhad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good morning to my respected lecturer, Dr. Nur Faradila binti Abdul Aziz. My name is Muhammad Fairuz bin Rosli, student ID 2022 845022. I'm from Group BA774 1B. Today I would like to make a presentation about analysis of financial performance Boston Holdings Berhad. Now we go to the next slide. The Boston Holding Berhad has 7 elements in this presentation. The first is about the description of the company. Second is outlook. Third is a balance sheet. Fourth is an income statement. Fifth is a cash flow statement. Number 6 is ownership governance structure of the company. And lastly, fundamental ratios for Boston Holdings Berhad. Next, we go to the description of the company. Boston Holdings Berhad was operates in the Peninsula Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. Boston Holdings Berhad is a Malaysian company with over 16,000 employees in over 80 listed and unlisted companies in Malaysia, Indonesia and the UK. Today, the group of business interested are concentrated in key sector of the Malaysian economy through 5 sectors. Next, we go to the next slide. It is about the outlook. They have a 5 element in the Boston Holding Berhad. First is in plantation, real estate, industrial, pharmaceutical, heavy industry, trading, finance and investment businesses. In year 2021 was a major financial success as the group turnover increased by 43% from RM 7.9 billion a year ago to RM 11.3 billion. Next, we go to the balance sheet of Boston Holding Berhad. They include from year 2017 until 2021. In the balance sheet, it includes the current asset, total current asset, equity and liabilities, non-current liabilities, and also the current liabilities. The balance sheet also shows the liquidity and non-liquidity for the financial statement of the Boston Holding Berhad. Next, we go to the income statement of the Boston Holding Berhad. It is also included from the year 2017 until 2021. In the income statement, it includes revenue, operating costs, and also it will show the profit or losses of the company. Next, we go to the cash flow statement of the Boston Holding Berhad. They will depreciate between the year 2021 and 2020. It is include the operating activities, investing activities, financing activities, and also with the cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year. Next, we go to the ownership governance structure of the company. They have 2 very important persons in this Boston Holding Berhad. Firstly is about the Chairman Datuk Sri Muhammad Rizwan Mat Yusof, and second is a Group Managing Director Datuk Sri Muhammad Sajali Ramli. The major shareholders are as follows. Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera is the major shareholder of the Boston Holding Berhad with 59.4% ownership, so Boston Holdings Berhad is not a family company. Next, we go to the fundamental ratios. In the Boston Holding Berhad, they use the financial ratios to measure whether the company is good or not. Firstly, they use the short-term solvency liquidity ratios. The second is long-term solvency financial leverage ratios. Third is asset utilization efficiency or turnover ratios. Number 4 is profitability ratios. And lastly, market value ratios. That's all for my presentation about analysis of financial performance Boston Holdings Berhad. The rest of the elements will present by my friends. Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, next I'm Akmal. Will present for the next chapter about chart and announcement. So as we can see here at my presentation slide, the Boston Holdings price share market for 5 years price chart and KLCI chart for 5 years. As we can see, both plummeted at 2018, decreasing and until 2020. The popular perception of Boston Holding was also unfavorable as a result of the project debt restructuring and privatization into 2020 following the termination. And that's what Boston Holding has, and given the stock was plummeted from price on March 2018 around 2 ringgit 54 cent per share to average within 75 cent per share, has remained rather flat over the last 3 years. There might be an opportunity for even more earning per share if other metrics are strong. With a very volatile payout, it's even more necessary to assess if earnings per share are increasing, which might indicate a rising dividend in the future. Shareholders are receiving a large portion of their earning back, which along the excellent growth make this intriguing investment. Based on the annual report, existing investors are due to receive a payment of 1.5 cent per share on 27 February this year, 2023, after several years did not get any dividend payout. The last dividend has been paid on 13 December 2018. This makes the dividend yield increase investor returns quite nicely. However, from the data it showed the boosted dividend payment have been volatile and have fallen in the past 5 years. Next, boosted EPS has been increasing over the previous 2 years after being negative when the market price collapsed. Boosted began earning positive earnings per share, and as general, we can see relationship between Boston Holding and FTSE KLCI have a positive correlation, indicate that the two values move in the same direction. Besides that, the volatility is high. Therefore, when volatility is high, the value of an asset or investment changes quickly and unpredictable. High volatile can increase the risk for investor because the value of their investment can fluctuate dramatically in a short period of time. Investor may be less likely to make a long-term investment in a high volatile market because they are concerned about the possibility of significant losses. Instead, they may choose short-term investment or seek to diversify their portfolio in order to mitigate the impact of volatility of their investment. Okay, next I will share about 5 significant announcements which may have influenced the share price of Boston Holdings. First, relation with the Malaysian government. The Malaysian Ministry of Defence, or we call it MINDEF, has approved a letter dated 26 April 2021 from Boston Naval Shipyard Sdn Bhd, a subsidiary of Boston Holdings Berhad, for the refit works of the KD Ledang at a contract value of 52 billion. On March 11, 2021, BNS accepted a letter from INDEF for a refit works on KS Kasturi at a contract price 40.8 million ringgit. BNS completed a letter of work for the repair and upgrading the Royal Malaysian Navy vessels combat management system on June 2019 for the fiscal year ending 31st December 2021. The total revenue realized under the contract was 0.1 million. For second announcement is Boston Holding Berhad and UON Holding Malaysia Sdn Berhad have agreed into conditional share sale agreement. Boston Holding Berhad reached into a conditional share sale agreement with UON Holding Berhad for the proposed sale of 102,910,000 common share of about 66.41% stake in the University Nottingham in Malaysia for a purchase consideration 23 pound in ringgit Malaysia based on 23 million ringgit Malaysia based on the exchange rate on the date payment. The purchaser must pay Boston Holding for the following amounts, and the purchaser mutually agreed to extend the date by which a condition precedent must be satisfied, acquired or waived in accordance with the SSA cut-off date from 16 February 2022 until 16 August 2022. The project disposal will be completed by the third quarter of 2022. Next is unpredictable scenario. As we know, the COVID-19 crisis is a detrimental influence on global and domestic economy, had a number of ramifications for the group operation. The group profitability rose as a result of the sale of Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine to the Ministry of Health. Nonetheless, the group hotels, retail complex, travel companies, and full service station were affected by mobility restriction in 2021. To keep operation functioning, all existing mitigating measures will be maintained. As Malaysia reached the endemic stage on COVID-19 on April 1st, 2022, as well as a commercial operating hour restriction are abolished, the group is cautiously optimistic and the business climate will improve, benefiting all companies within the group. The group will also investigate other options such as getting Sinovac's approval to export Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine to nations experience challenges in assuring enough immunization supply through the pharmaceutical division. 4. Deepak Jai Kishan, anak lelaki Jai Kishan Riwachan issue with writ of summon. As we know, Deepak Jai Kishan served a writ of summon on Boston Holding Berhad, alleging conspiracy, deception, thought of conversion, and disproportionate influence by the defendant in the purchasing 16 million ordinary share of Asta Changgis Sdn Berhad and 200 acre of freehold property in Selangor. Lastly, the group subsidiary Boston Naval Shipyard Sdn Berhad BNS was served with a winding up petition. MTU Services Sdn Berhad filed a petition with BNS Boston Navy Shipyard Sdn Berhad alleging that it owes them 56 million on 11 August 2020. BNS submitted a request to stay or strike out MSM petition. The court granted an ad hoc stay of all proceedings pending the conclusion of BNS strike out or stay.
Here is the data of the Boston Holdings Berhad from Yahoo Finance. For the past 5 years, the return on the shareholders' equity is showing a decreasing trend. Conservative investing is an investment strategy that prioritizes the preservation of capital overgrowth or market returns. The Boston Holdings Berhad has been using the conservative investing strategy as more than half of a portfolio is held in debt securities and cash equivalents rather than risky assets. However, the decreasing trend of the shareholders' equity is because of the accumulated losses over the years and also the excessive debt to cover the loss.
WACC. When a project or an acquisition is compared to the weighted average cost of capital, which represents a firm cost of capital where each category of capital is proportionally weighted, investors and in businesses can determine whether the project or the acquisition is worthwhile. BHP uses a mix of equity and debt financing. It is critical to conduct analysis for the average cost of capital because, according to the analysis, the cost of debt is lower than the cost of equity. However, since businesses occasionally raise more capital from one source than another, it would be incorrect to immediately take the average of the cost of debt and the equity. The proportion of each funding type, which is debt and equity, is the total capital structure, must be taken into account in order to determine the weighted average cost of capital. Due to its lower cost of financing, BHP intends to use more debt financing. The cost of debt of a company can be derived as interest expense for the year divided by the average outstanding debt. And the BHP cost of debt is 4.2%. The cost of equity is calculated as the difference between market return and risk-free return plus the stock beta, which is added to the risk-free return. In this context, the term equity refers to anything other than that. BHP's cost of equity is 12.31%. Continue for WACC. The debt level of Bastard Holdings Berhad is considering high. The investment analyst made note of Bastard Holdings' high level of debt, noting that the company had 6.6 billion in net debt as of end of 2021. With a cost of debt of 4.2%, it is showing that their debt level is reaching the risky zone. Question number 8 after WACC. Bastard Holdings Berhad is in the position where they are not taking any more debt. Smart debt management and strategic sales are the two initiatives under Reinventing Bastard, have been crucial to their financial turnaround. Given losses recognized over the previous 3 years, the group had been plagued by high gearing since 2018 as a result of their decline in the equity value. They started a structured process to monetize non-strategic assets while selling off some properties inventories in order to keep enough cash on hand for their operations and to support the further reduction in the borrowing. The successful sales of the Royal Chulan Bukit Bintang Hotel in the first quarter of 2021, which brought in 177 million, and Bastard Cruise Centre Sendram Berhad in the third quarter, which brought in 230 million, were the year's major accomplishments. The sale of their 66.41% stake in the University of Nottingham in Malaysia is currently planned and is anticipated to be finished by the third quarter of 2022. They also sold property inventories at Jalan Cochrane and Bukit Raja for a total consideration of to further strengthen in their cash position. In order to support its operation and maximize shareholder value, the group's capital management strategy's main goal is to make sure that it maintains a strong credit rating and healthy capital ratios. The group oversees and modifies its capital structure in response to shifting economic conditions. The group may modify dividend payments to shareholders, return capital to shareholders, or issue new shares in order to maintain or modify the capital structure. Continuation, question number 8. In order to support its operation and maximize shareholder value, the group's capital management strategy's main goal is to make sure that it maintains a strong credit rating and healthy capital ratios. The group oversees and modifies its capital structure in response to shifting economic conditions. The group may modify dividend payments to shareholders, return capital to shareholders, or issue new shares in order to maintain or modify the capital structure. The goals, regulations, or procedures remain unchanged in the fiscal years ended December 31st, 2021 and 2020. The gearing ratios, as we can see, it's increased over time, which is obtained by dividing the amount of borrowings over total equity. It's used by the group to track capital. Question number 8. After group to track capital. As we can see, the gearing ratio has been quite high for the past 5 years, from 0.69 in 2017 to 0.97 in 2018 to 1.38 in 2019 and up to 1.48 in 2020. However, in 2021, it decreased to 1.28. Question number 9, dividend policy. Dividends can be paid to shareholders in a variety of ways, including additional stock or cash. The BHB's Board of Directors determines the dividend amount and follows a specific dividend policy when allocating the company's profit. BHB wasn't paying in dividend consistently. In 2017, BHB paid out an interim dividend amounting at 69 million. Then there's 3 dividend payout in 2018. 2 of them are interim, and both are being paid out in the 3rd and the 4th quarter of 2018, and there's 1 more in the 1st quarter of 2018. In 2019, a dividend amounting 34,500,000 in the 1st quarter of 2019. Finally, there will be an interim dividend that will be paid out in the year of 2023, amounting 34,500,000, which will be paid in the 1st quarter of 2023. Thank you.
The recommendation for the Boston Holding Berhad is dilution shares. The value of the current investor share and their percentage ownership of the firm may be declined when a corporation issues more than shares of the stock. This typical issue is known as dilution. Investors should be aware of this risk as the shareholders and should be learn more about how the dilution works and how it might impact the share price. Many current stockholders do not think highly of the dilutions. After all, their ownership of the corporation is being reduced by adding the additional shareholder to the pool. This might make investors think their investment in the firm is worth less. In some circumstances, stockholders who control a lesser percentage of the firm may be taken advantage of by investors with a larger holding. It's not always that horrible though. It could be advantageous if the firm is assured that additional shares to increase the revenue. Additionally, it can be doing so to acquire capital for a new project, such as investing in a new product, forming a strategic alliance, or acquiring a rival.